What's going on, y'all? What's up? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Late Night Show with your boy, Dr. Kojo. I am checking in live from Juneau, Alaska. I'm used to saying checking in live from sunny Los Angeles, California. But no, we're checking in live from snowy and rainy, but still a beautiful city here, Juneau, Alaska. And we're going to be talking about three embarrassing things about ADHD. Uh, Speaking of ADHD, my good buddy who's a comedian, he texted me. He said, "Yo, see you in 20 minutes." Yeah, and then my assistant reminded him, "Frankie, today's Tuesday. The meeting is on Thursday." So all of us here with ADHD, uh, Mickey, Vicky, what a life! What a life! What a life! What a life! Let me make sure we are live. All right, we're live on Facebook. We are live on LinkedIn. We're live on YouTube, on both my YouTube pages. I want to organize that, but we're live on both pages. We're live on Twitch as well. I don't know what our Twitch plan is, but we got to work on that. Let me send Frankie a voice memo. Frankie, it's funny that you sent that text. Right now, I'm on Facebook Live, and the topic of this live stream is three embarrassing things about ADHD. And as I started the live stream, you sent the text. So yeah, we'll get up on Thursday. No problem, brother. Take care. Love you. Yeah, that's the ADHD. That's how it is. That's how it is. We're gonna talk about three embarrassing things about ADHD. But before we start, go ahead and use the comment section to introduce yourself. Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know your name. I hope to see some of the OGs in here. I'm sure I'll see the OGs, some OGs, some new Gs, some future Gs. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. But we will be talking about three embarrassing things about ADHD. Before we get to the stream, I want to say thank you for everything for the past couple of months here on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, but also for my YouTubers, but specifically for the people in my Facebook community. We're reaching 1.3 million followers today. Ooh, got down. I swore I saw a mosquito somewhere here. All right, y'all let me know if the mosquito comes back. Oh, I feel like I see a. Hold up. Let me kill this. Let me kill the mosquito, y'all. Let me kill this thing. Got down. I didn't kill the mosquito. This is the ADHD live streams. Oh, actually, I didn't kill the mosquito. My bad. Shit. I got it this time. Y'all see that? I didn't kill the mosquito. I killed the mosquito. Sick. That's how we do things over here. Just roll with the punches. What I was saying was thank you for 1.3 million followers on Facebook. Facebook is my fastest growing social media platform by far. Even though I have about 1 million followers more on TikTok, we're growing way faster here on TikTok, on Facebook, than any other platform. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all are a fun group. And thank you for allowing me to do this. So thank you so much. Getting into the stream, we have Jazz Goldstein from Philly. Jazz, what's up? What's up? We got Joe. It's really late where I am, but I just want to say thank you for everything. You do. Your videos are excellent and help me a great deal. My man Joe, I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. And if you can't stay for the whole stream, keep in mind, I never delete a live stream. Like, I'm never going to delete a live stream. I got the heads up from Facebook that the live streams are going to start disappearing after 30 days. So maybe this is good for the ADHD community because we need deadlines to get things done. So whenever I do a stream, if you have to dip out, I will be back the next day, virtually. You can still catch the same stream the very next day. And now you have up until 30 days to see this stream. So just keep that in mind. If you have to dip out, pop your head in, dip out. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Jazz says, please kill it. I hate them so much. He wasn't needed. Jazz, I didn't kill the mosquito. I killed the mosquito. Right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I killed the mosquito. So yeah, I handle business. I took care of it. I handle business. Cheyenne from Oklahoma, how are you? Erica Meeks from Cali, here to gather and gain information. With Erica, I'm here to deliver it. Felix, what's up? Andy, what's up? Laurel from North Carolina. And Laurel, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Jazz, no worries. I killed the mosquito for you. All right, so let's get into it. 3 embarrassing things about ADHD. I compiled the list here. And I'm looking for embarrassing things because that's where the shame comes from. And when we talk about shame, shame is the thing that prevents us from making a change. Because shame means that we don't like who we are. Guilt is not liking what you've done. Shame is not liking who you are. So if you don't like who you are, it puts you in this state of paralysis where it's difficult to make a change because you're embarrassed about where you're at and the person that you are. So we got to attack the things that bring us shame, and then we can make a difference. Savage, I bet you could top the list I come up with. Knowing you, it's good to see you, Savage. It's still too cold in Wisconsin for mosquitoes. I gotta get to Wisconsin one day. Y'all are mosquito free over there. All right, so the number one thing, and these are not any particular order, but the number one thing I have on my list is, let me put right here. I can't spell unusual. Why can't I spell unusual? Unusual. Okay. Unusual sex drives. I'll be in Wisconsin one day. Unusual sex drives. Embarrassing things about ADHD. So this is for people in relationships, or if you're, if you're single and you're out here on the streets, I would guess that this applies to you as well. But unusual sex drives, either being too high or too low. And normally with ADHD, if you ask me, sometimes I see that it's too high, but then you also have periods where it's too low. When you're in a committed relationship and your drive is different from your partner's drive, that's a clear problem. Now, some people, it's 2025. Some people will open up the relationship. Some people will, find alternative ways to make sure that all parties are happy. But when the drive is too high on one end and it's too low on the other end, I think it's clear to see how we can have issues here. And I think it's important to just talk and say this. I know I've been in relationships where, I think, and also look, I know not everybody is heterosexual, but let me just speak on heterosexual relationships for a second. I think it is easier for a woman to come to a man and say, hey, I don't think we're having enough sex. But if you flip it around, and the guy's like, hey, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We can get into all kinds of gender roles and issues and things of that nature, but it's a need. It's a need. So if, and I've had to have that conversation before, where I was like, hey, we're not doing what we need to be doing. And, if we're not doing what we need to be doing, then I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just here. And she was like, oh, okay, we gotta have sex more. And then she was like, well, I don't come all the time. I was like, damn, I didn't need to know all that information. I didn't need to know all that. But, I aired out my grievances and she aired out hers. And you got to put your ego to the side and hear what your person is trying to say. You got to hear what the person is trying to say. Samantha says, we both struggle with number one on both ends of the spectrum. Right. Too high can be an issue and too low can be an issue. Because sometimes, even as men, sometimes ain't no drive. The drive is just gone. And, the number one thing that I would say kills our drive as men is financial issues, then sensory issues. Like, obviously, if your money's not where, you want it to be, you're probably less interested in sex. And if your surrounding is bothersome, if it's too bright, if there's a certain noise that's in the background, or even if you have a squeaky bed or a squeaky chair, it's just going to piss you off. and things like that. If you're neurodivergent, you know these things can just wipe out your drive. Oh, just wipe no drive, as if you don't have any tires. And Kimmy says, yes, the heck did you? Talking about it a lot. Talking about it helps a lot. To be a woman and bring it to the man is hard. And Savage, actually, and this is why I appreciate my community, because my community is 81% female, 19% male. So it's helpful to have women so they can speak for women. I shouldn't be speaking on women because I'm not women. So we gotta let women speak for women. I didn't even look at it from this perspective, but Savage, you are completely correct. Because as men, we have egos, and once our pride is hurt, it becomes an issue. And a lot of the awful things that men have done in this world has happened because a man's ego and pride was hurt. He felt rejected, he felt disrespected, and bad things happen. And not to say that a bad thing would happen in a relationship here, but as a man, when you hear something about yourself that doesn't make you feel too good, sometimes we feel like we're not manly, and that can be a tough pill to swallow. So, Savage, you are completely correct. Thank you for bringing up this. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kimmy says she likes listening to music. And some people like to, do the Mickey Ficky with music on. Some people don't want the music. Oh, right. Oh yeah. Savage is always gonna give us her input, and I appreciate that. Cheyenne says it's so difficult. My husband is diagnosed ADHD. I fully, wholeheartedly believe I am undiagnosed autistic. A lot of people who received autism diagnoses in the past couple of years were people who fully and wholeheartedly believed that they were autistic, and they ended up being right. I'll just say that. He has high drive. I have non-existent due to sensory overload, working full time, and we have 5 children. Well, job is like a job. A full-time job is a full-time job. 5 kids is like 2.5 full-time jobs. So it's like you're working 3.5 jobs. On top of that, you have the sensory overload, and I think it's important to communicate, because once you communicate, then your partner can know where you're coming from. And I don't think it's the most important thing is not really the the sex. The most important thing is really making sure that both parties are heard. So even if y'all aren't having more sex, but he's understanding that, oh, this is what you're going through. I'm working a lot. Is this too loud in here? Everything is all over the place. It helps to understand where your partner's coming from, so that way that's not an attack on you. Um, Let me see. I'm not diagnosed. I think of getting one. And look, Felix, I always, if you ask me, I'm going to support people receiving a diagnosis, because that's going to allow you to know yourself better, and then you can put together a game plan and put yourself in a much better position. Take time to decompress and connect. Yeah. Yes. Take time to decompress and connect. And intimacy does come in many different forms. That's correct. That is correct. What symptoms do I have? Man, Andy, I got all the symptoms. I got all of them. You name it. Uh, including this first one: high drive, low drive, sensory overload, misophonia. Yeah, I got all of them. My niece is hitting all cylinders on the executive functioning chart for ADHD. She's part of the family. Kimmy says, I didn't know I had ADHD until I found you randomly on Facebook. I love these comments, because just imagine that picture. You're on Facebook to catch up with what your family members have been up to. You're trying to wish your cousin a happy birthday. You're just trying to keep up with what's happening in your city. And then you see a video of mine, and then you're like, oh no, I think I got ADHD. Y'all were just minding your business to try to enjoy your weekend, just scrolling on Facebook. And then the algorithm presented these videos to you. But I'm happy that we're able to meet this way. I spent morning crying, laughing, in shock, you name it, because how does a complete stranger know things about me I have never told anyone? I'm 34 and glad I don't have to go through this journey alone. Well, Kimmy, I'm happy that you don't have to go through it alone. There's so many other people who are experiencing the same thing. The only issue is that you live in a certain part of the world where you can't see anybody else who's going through the same thing. So you feel like you're the only person who has it. So when I was growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, I was the only kid with ADHD. And it was ADD back then. We didn't get the software update. It was just ADD. So I was like, man, I'm the only kid that can't focus in class. I'm the only kid that keeps getting suspended. I'm the only kid that's bouncing off the walls. And that wasn't true. It wasn't true. And eventually, as I learned more about myself and started sharing, I started to, find people who were going through the same things. Now, we Netflix and chill, me and my fiance, but I don't need that. I have ADHD. Noise distracts me. Oh, I'll start singing in the. All right, okay, all right, Jazz. Now you cross the line. If you start, if you start, you cross the line, Jazz. This is funny. Since PDA often comes along with ADHD, do you have any recommendations on making it seem like less of a demand? Yes, Nick, you look at the language that's used. Perhaps when you hear certain words, they might be trigger words for you or your partner. Certain words, when we hear them, it makes us feel like we are stripped of our autonomy. So when somebody says, "Hey, Nikki, you should do this," you're like, damn, like I have to take out the trash, like I have to show up to this event. Like it makes you feel like you have to do the thing. Now you don't want to do it. But if you change your language to say, well, Nikki, um, I've been in your situation before, and I feel like you ought to do this. OUGHT, you ought versus you have to. Sometimes just changing up the language um, is the key. All right, number two of embarrassing things about ADHD. Um, this one is also very relatable. Interrupting people mid conversation, man. And before we get to that, let me see what Samantha said. I feel like a lot of my symptoms trigger with bipolar. Not only sex, but yeah. Look, bipolar is a cousin of ADHD. They're first cousins. You got the same side of the family. Like your mom is siblings with the uncle. I'm confusing myself now, but ADHD and bipolar are first cousins. Like the cousin that comes over for Thanksgiving, and when he has to leave, you get so upset. Yeah, that's it. They're so close. A lot of things overlap. The hyperfixation sometimes look like manic episodes, and sometimes you can have both. You can have ADHD and bipolar. So that just further complicates the diagnostic process. Joel, I appreciate that. Interrupting people mid conversation. This can be embarrassing because sometimes you'll do this and you'll see the look on people's faces, and people will be, if it's somebody who's not familiar with you, they'll be in shock. Like, did this person just cut me off? I was just talking and this person cut me off. And sometimes we interrupt because we know what the other person is going to say. So if I know what you're going to say and you're being long winded with it, I'll just jump right in and help you. And I think I'm helping you. I'm not helping you out, but my brain tells me that I'm helping you out. So you're talking, and sometimes I do complete your thought, but I interrupted you and it was rude and it made you feel away. And we don't want that. But that's something that you see with ADHD, over talking people. And if you do this constantly and the other person is not able to communicate how it makes me feel, it'll normally lead to a big blowout. So you'll be doing it in small amounts. And then before you know it, the person will be like, man, can you shut the hell up? And you're like, whoa, 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 what did I do? And if you could roll back the tape, you probably were cutting into this person for the past 3 minutes. Anytime they were talking, you didn't let them talk. You asked them a question, and then as they were talking, you start to answer the question you asked them. And we don't realize that we're doing this because sometimes instead of listening, we're so focused on trying to talk. So we're not receiving because we're so fixated on I gotta say we just have to slow down sometimes and do our best. Sometimes read lips. When you read the lips of people, you can tell when they're about to finish a sentence. So I've had to work really hard at this, to just really watch people and just watch your lips. Just watch it. And then I see when they're finishing a thought. And then I say, okay, they paused here. I think I can jump in now. I think I can jump. Great. Okay. And then you jump in. That sort of thing. That's my niece. She does not wait for the other person. Not because of the right, because of the Saturday morning cartoons. I do this a lot, but I didn't get diagnosed until 49. Elizabeth, a lot of people are starting to get these diagnoses later in life. And we have to talk about it because it makes you feel a way when you've lived your life, 3, 4, 5 decades, and now you're finding out a big fundamental thing about yourself that you didn't know. I'm 55 and I was hypersexual because I have ADHD, but wasn't diagnosed until a few years ago. My sex drive doesn't exist because of antidepressants. I think if I was diagnosed with ADHD first, I would have to take anxiety and depression medications. Is that what you meant? Shanna, if that's what you meant, you could be right. Because sometimes ADHD meds can double as antidepressants. They're not antidepressants, but we prescribe them sometimes for treatment-resistant depression. And when you regulate your mood and your attention better with your ADHD meds, it tends to lift symptoms of anxiety and depression. How can you complete another person's thoughts? Joel, you can't, but sometimes you feel like you can. So that's why you interject. Andy, it is tough to lip read. It's tough because we'll look at people's lips while they're talking. That's not a socially acceptable behavior. Normally, we look at their eyes and, like we look at somebody and we know to kind of like move our head every now and then. Okay, yeah. Because if you look straight at somebody, this is a bit too intense. My stomach's growling. I must have forgotten to eat today. This is too intense. So, we like to back up a little bit, play it cool and make eye contact every now and then, because not enough eye contact is like, yo, this person nervous, what's going on? And then too much eye contact is like, yo, this person's intense. Like they're staring into my soul. Yeah, we're right. And Lauren, you feel bad when you realize what you've done. You've cut somebody off. You didn't mean to, but you cut them off, and now they feel a way about it. I don't know why it cuts out when you comment. Are they long comments? Let me know. Oh, and PR said like the video. It helps the algorithm on YouTube. So yeah, go ahead, my YouTube boys and girls, go ahead and like the video. Drop a like in there. I gotta figure out how YouTube Live works, but yeah, go ahead and drop that like in there, and then help out the video for the algorithm. As far as interruption between conversations, I have an ADHD friend that we used to interrupt each other all the time. Now we just acknowledge it to each other when we do it to each other. Then it turned into us being able to say more and more with less interruptions. Kind of got to train the mind, but having another ADHD buddy is super helpful if you want to improve any of the downsides of ADHD. But they have to be on the same wavelength and want to improve and find it an issue in the first place. Everything that Jack said here is on the money. So Jakubowski. Hope I didn't screw up the last name, but Jack. Love the show for sure. Because you have to have somebody who, first of all, acknowledges that it's a problem and wants to improve. Because sometimes, people who are not aware of a problem and don't want to improve, they'll just keep yapping. And maybe it's not hurting them as much in their life, but you need somebody who is also in that same wavelength. That's facts. All that is facts. I keep trying to swipe your pin comment away. What's the pin comment on because nothing is pinned on my end. Sometimes I'll have myself pulled up on Facebook, but I don't like to look at it because if I look at myself while I'm talking, that's weird. That's weird. That's weird. It's weird. I asked about the difference between hyperactivity and hypomania and comorbid bipolar 1 and ADHD. This is a good question right here. This is a really good question. The difference is that hypomania is something that's sustained over a couple of days. This is at least 4 days. According to the DSM-5, if it's hypomania, it has to be 4 days where you've had, the rapid speech, pressured speech, being easily distractible, questionable decision making, having a reduced need for sleep, and decreased cognitive capacity, impulsive decision making, spending a lot of money, risky behaviors, gambling, all of the hypomanic symptoms for at least 4 days. The hyperactivity that you would see in ADHD, it shouldn't last for 4 days. Now you should burn out at some point. Like you can be hyperactive for a day, or the better part of a day, but um, it doesn't really go into the next day like that. Let me see if it's the. That's interesting. I hope that it doesn't stay up there on Facebook for too long, because it's gonna affect the viewing experience, and that's very important to me, that the viewing experience is good for everybody. For everybody. All right. How do you lip read when people wear a mask? All right, so Andy, if somebody's wearing a mask, you can't read their lips. But communication happens in other ways, body language, with your eyes, gesturing. So I would look at the other forms of communication, um, instead of the verbal communication. Keep in mind, 80% of communication is nonverbal. So this whole thing where people think that if you're autistic, you're screwed for life because you can't communicate in traditional methods is not true. A lot of communication is nonverbal. We communicate by, like by what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this is a pink shirt. You can't really see it's a pink shirt, but a lot of guys are not going to wear pink. So by me wearing pink is communicating a certain thing. I hope it means that I'm brave and I'm secure in my masculinity. I'm wearing a ring. It's on the middle finger. If you put it on this finger, that communicates a certain thing. It communicates that this person is likely married. Sometimes I wear this or ring on this finger because this finger gets too fat for it. If I'm wearing a tie, oh, he's in the professional mode. But take off the tie. Oh, child, I'll just go ahead and do that. Ooh, I hope I didn't pop that thing. But I take off the tie. And I'm not undressing, so don't worry, y'all. I ain't undressing, but try to prove a point. Keep it PG, we keep it friendly over here. So take off this tie. Now loosen the button. All right. We're communicating a different thing. This is a more relaxed Kojo, not as formal Kojo. It's all communication. So the me with the tie on is okay. He's a bit more buttoned up. Okay, this is official Kojo, and this is like relaxed Kojo home. Chilling with the boys, so on and so forth. So keep in mind you can communicate in non-traditional methods. Real men wear pink. I think so. I think so. Um, Jewel, I cannot comment on things like this legally because I cannot assume responsibility, or assume care of anybody's, so on and so forth. But this is a common thing where sometimes when an antipsychotic is not working for somebody, and then the provider will want to switch to another one. It's a fairly common thing. Amanda, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. My husband said he got hit on more with his ring on than when he didn't wear it. And Savage, I've heard that too. I have heard that as well. I just get hit on in general, but I wouldn't be surprised because people want you more when you're taken. So this checks out. If you don't have anybody, it's like you can't get a date for nothing. But the moment you have somebody, now everybody wants to be around you. Everybody wants to ask you out. The moment you get somebody, and then you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, when I was single, nobody wanted me. Now I'm married, everybody wants me. I got into mental health on accident, but I stay on purpose, Aaliyah. I got into nursing because my dad suggested it, and it turned to be the biggest blessing in my life. Started working in the psych hospital, and then I went back for my NP, my DNP. The doctorate degree was combined with the NP all in one, Augusta University. So, yeah, my dad he put that seed in me, and then the circumstances and God, or whatever, conspired to allow me to be at the psych hospital. It kind of grew my love for mental health. Yeah, yeah. I don't get it. Like when you have somebody, they want you, but when you don't have nobody, it's like nobody cares. It's ridiculous. We're at the 30-minute mark, so it's time for the water break. Does anybody know the magic word? Do the magic word, and then we'll go ahead and get the water in. And then I'll put in the last thing right here, the embarrassing things about ADHD. I appreciate you as well. Quick social anxiety tip while somebody drops a magic word in there. If you struggle with social anxiety, a good way to do an icebreaker is by complimenting somebody. So you can say, hey, I really like your shoes. Most people are not going to walk away and be like, you told them that you like their shoes. They're probably going to be like, oh, yeah, thanks. I got these the other day from this store, from such and such. So a compliment to a stranger is a good way to kind of break the ice. Happy is more attractive. I think so too. I think so too. So the magic word is oh, it's cheers. I was like, where's the magic word? It's Emily put it in there. Cheers. Big cheers. Let's get some water in. The water break. At the 30-minute mark, we gotta get some water in. Now water break is helpful, especially when you take stimulants. Your mouth gets dry. Do you do a lot of these live streams? I do. We do this specific live stream every Tuesday night, 6 o'clock California time, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock Tennessee, 7 o'clock Arizona time. We do them weekly, but I haven't been doing them for a while. This is my first one of this format since like mid-January. So they will be more regular every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. I'm working on getting a outpatient telehealth thing set up. So we have the majority of the people that we need, but we're still working on hiring people and getting that correct team together for us to take off. All right, the third thing, dropping in here, executive dysfunction. This is one of the most embarrassing things about ADHD, because this means that you struggle to prioritize, you struggle to plan things, you struggle to put things in the right order. When you can't order things in the order of priority, even when you are effective, you're not efficient. So you're doing the right thing, but at the wrong time. Maybe you do have to change the oil, sure. But if your in-laws are coming over and the house is dirty and you have to clean up one of the rooms so that they can sleep in there, and they called you, they said that they're 90 minutes away, that's not the time to get an oil change. You got to get an oil change eventually. It's pressing, but right now we have to make sure that the guest room like has some space for our in-laws, because you know that one of them uses a walker, one of them uses a wheelchair. They're gonna need special accommodations. So you know this, and you're on the clock, but you're like, I gotta get that oil change. I gotta get the oil change. So you got the oil change, and that's cool. We've done it. We've accomplished the task, one of the tasks at hand, but we didn't do the priority thing. So now your in-laws come, and when they come into the house, the guest room is not clean. Now everybody is, upset, and now it could lead to an argument between you and your spouse, and then like spend weeks arguing about this. Well, how come you didn't when my mom came? Because you went to oil change. That's why. You needed the oil, but you did the right thing at the wrong time. You did the right thing at the wrong time. Or if you're in your house, but it's the last day to file taxes. Okay, we got to clean our house and we have to file taxes. But if we don't get our taxes done by today, we're going to have to pay a penalty because we got to file our taxes because we don't want to go to jail. So this is one of the biggest struggles with ADHD and autism as well. But when you can't figure out what the priority thing is, it will always lead to pain. And I know this all too well. And I do everything that I can to list things in order of priority, because You cannot get everything done in a day. It's impossible. And sometimes like we get overly ambitious. We'll write down 14 things. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. A lot of a lot of and a lot of I'm finna, but not a lot of action. But if you are effective, but you don't knock out the priority things first, now we've exhausted all of our energy, but we still have to do those main two things. And now we're out of energy. And then you have to sit there and pay the price. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. It's maybe the worst thing about ADHD, if you ask me. Maybe the worst thing. The ADHD tax. Yep. Yep. You'll spend more money than the neurotypical person when you have ADHD. And it's not because you're buying Chanel bags, but it's because you didn't pay for your parking ticket from a couple years ago. You forgot to file taxes, things like that. At least let it be a Chanel bag. At least let it be a trip to Jamaica. But no, we just didn't do what we were supposed to do. And that's frustrating, and it makes you feel a bit worse about yourself. Yeah, unfortunately relatable. The thought process. And Mary Vana. So the outpatient practice that we're setting up, it'll be for people in certain states. It's state specific in the United States. But any coaching services that we do will be for anybody in the world. So we'll get the coaching services set up as well. That'll be for anybody, anywhere in the world. And also, there's courses that we'll be releasing. I have to review an autism course that was filmed about a month and a half ago in LA with my team, and it's about done. So I'll review it today, and I hope to have it up on the internet this week. Well, Taylor, now you have Taylor Douglas. Welcome to the show. How are you? Yo, I didn't file my taxes for 2 years. And I know a lot of people like this. I used to date this girl who had ADHD from Detroit, and she told me that she was 3 years behind on taxes. I was like, "You're 3 years behind on taxes? We don't need to be Netflix and chilling. You need to go find an accountant. You don't even need me. You need a CPA. Like, I don't want you to go to jail. Like, it'll suck if I come home one day and they're like, oh, like, where'd she go? Oh, she's in the jail, Los Angeles County Jail. She didn't file her taxes, or maybe they take her back to Detroit because she didn't file her taxes. It's difficult. April 15th is tax day, so we all have time, but we don't have time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got time, but we don't have time. So like, let's and I haven't filed my taxes this year. I'll just be honest. Show of hands if you haven't filed your taxes, which is probably everybody on this live stream. The hardest part is realizing that nothing ever changes inside my head, just my skills to do life. Right. It's difficult. It's difficult because that in dialogue sometimes tends to be negative, because we're like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. And we have to find ways to psych ourselves up to do action so that way we can make things change. We should probably have automatic extensions every year. Like, the moment you get your ADHD diagnosis, it should come with a note that says this person has up until December 31st to file their taxes. I would like that. Shout out to your husband. Hopefully he can help me with my taxes. What did my assistant say? Just FaceTime me after I get off live stream. I'll be off shortly, but just FaceTime me afterwards so I can just like take a look at everything, please. Thank you so much. Okay. Tax live stream. Are we going to spend a tax live stream talking about how we should do our taxes, or we're going to have an accountant who walks all of us through our taxes? Or are we going to body double together and just leave the camera on and just start to work on our taxes? What should we do? Yeah, maybe what we should do, Savage, if we're being honest, we should set our tax deadline to 2 weeks or a month before the actual deadline. So our deadline should really be March the 15th, which is 4 days from now. And that way, when we, if we don't catch a deadline, then it's like, oh, I missed the deadline, but we have 4 weeks left because we create a fake deadline for ourselves. I used to use fake deadlines to help me get things done all the time. I didn't have Adderall when I was a kid because I had no diagnosis. So I used the poor man's Adderall, which is creating fake deadlines in my head. Jasmine, I appreciate you. Emily, congrats on that. It's an action that we're looking for. Why not all three? We need all three. But to recap the three things, potential embarrassing things about ADHD, just for my boys and girls who came in halfway through. Let me drop that in here. Let's see. Thank you. I'm behind on main things due to ADHD, depression, trauma. Everything has just snowballed. Jennifer, that's the worst part about the executive dysfunction because things pile up, and after enough things pile up, you're like, all right, I ain't gonna ever get this done. I'm cooked. And the moment you tell yourself that you're cooked, we become cooked. So I think it's important to be easy on ourselves and find ways to spur into action. It's the action that's going to change things around here. And that's the only thing. Working a session, invite them. And I'm pretty sure we could. I gotta get all my paperwork and And also, when you have ADHD, you're more than 200% more likely to be an entrepreneur. And when you're an entrepreneur, you got 1099s over here, you have remittance forms over there. And I'm grateful for the system that I've put in place now. It's so much better than what it used to be, but there's more ways I can strengthen it. Cheyenne, I wouldn't be surprised because when you mask, it's a whole different personality. Like you've created a whole new personality for yourself, and that's why when you unmask, it can be deeply personal, and it can, unmasking is a very personal journey because as you start to get back to yourself and appreciate who you are, you find parts of yourself that you hid for years, and you're like, wow, like I am, like wow, this is me, like this is amazing. But other people don't know that that's you because they've never seen it. You've never put it out there on display. How to build a system with ADHD? You have to start with eliminating the shame first. Eliminate the shame. Shame is not liking who you are. So we have to work on liking who we are, and then we can start to implement a change. All right, so to recap the three embarrassing things about ADHD. Number one, sex drive being off from your partner. Too high, too low. Number two, interrupting people, especially mid-conversation, can be very embarrassing. And number three, executive dysfunction. These are in no particular order. But if I had to rank one as being the most frustrating, I would say it's the executive dysfunction because that cuts into every area of your life. And that's my number one struggle with ADHD. Somebody was asking, what symptoms do you have? I have all of these, but the executive dysfunction is the worst because it's paralyzing to look at a to-do list on Monday and the next week Monday you look at the to-do list and nothing has been knocked off. You're like, wow, like I've been living, breathing, existing, and I still didn't do any of these things. It's so hard to work out which parts of your personality are your true self and which parts of Lauren, once again, that's facts. It's very difficult to figure out what's what. It's hard. And the unmasking journey, this is a years long journey. You didn't spend 37 years creating, a version of yourself to do away with it in a year or 6 months or Oh, okay. For a second there, I lost my screen. It went black, but I lost my screen. Um, and no, I was not live on TikTok. Normally, I'm live on TikTok, but I was not live on um, TikTok. I was not live on TikTok. I was just live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, both my YouTube pages, and Twitch. So, yeah. All right, so I gotta go. I gotta get on the phone with my assistant. Duty calls. Duty calls. So until next week for this live stream, I will see y'all. Yeah, I'll see y'all then. On top of that, I will look to do live streams throughout the week. Maybe not this week. I have a comedy show coming up on Friday. Yeah, Friday. This Friday, I have a comedy show coming up. So if you are in Juneau, Alaska, or if you have a boat and you can sail over here or fly, probably is only Juneites, people who are already in Juneau, who will come. But it's a free show. You know, I want to have people come out and laugh and enjoy this comedy show. So if you're in Juneau, Alaska, at the Alaskan Hotel and Bar this Friday, 8 p.m. free show, we'll be laughing. Hopefully, I can find my neuro spicy people out there, and we're just gonna have a good time. So I will see y'all. Yeah, at the Alaskan Hotel and Bar this Friday at 7. No, not 7. 8 p.m. But I will be doing more of these live streams. And Facebook likes it when I do live streams on my phone, not the horizontal, but the vertical. So I'll do a lot more of the vertical live streams, and then I'll give you all the signs and symptoms that way, because that's what Facebook seems to like, and it reaches a lot of people. So until then, Savage, I love to, whenever I come to Wisconsin, I love to do comedy as well. I would love to do it. Until then, until next week, take care. I love y'all. Ellen, likewise.